They tell you, laundromats don't fail. And unlike the others, this time it's not a lie. 95% of laundromats that open are still standing 5 years later. But here's exactly where the trap is. Because not failing and making you money aren't the same thing. It's important to make that clear. Today I'm revealing the number that actually matters to you. How much really lands in your pocket, and the net figure. That's what we are talking about here. 2. The semi-passive income pitch. When a broker selling a laundromat calls you, here's what you hear. This business is semi-passive. You set up the machines, swing by a few times a week, and the rest runs itself. You don't even need to be there. That line is there to put you at ease psychologically, so he can sell you the business and hand it over, because that's a sales and marketing technique too. Then he shows you the numbers. This location does about $500,000 a year in revenue, with a net margin of 20 to 35%. So you're pocketing $100,000 to $175,000 a year. And you don't even need to hire staff. Sounds amazing, right? No standing in a kitchen every day like a restaurant, no hosting guests like Airbnb. Just machines, quietly generating income. Here's the problem. That pitch isn't lying, but so much gets left out behind the curtain, because brokers in this business, whenever they're about to sell something to someone, somehow always act like they've done every job themselves and know it all professionally. Because behind the word semi-passive, there's one more expense line the broker never opens up, and that line eats most of the margin. You'll understand it clearly once we get into it. Let's give this a name, Daniel. Daniel saw the table the broker showed him, and he believed the line, zero staff, zero stress. There was that comfort of, I don't even need to be there anyway, baked into it too. So he bought a 50-machine laundromat. The first month, everything went as planned. That I did it. I made it happen feeling was still running through his head. The machines ran, the money came in. Daniel went on with his life, stopping by only twice a week, maybe just passing through, thinking nothing's going to go wrong anyway. The broker showed me the professional numbers. In the second month, when the electric and water bills arrived, Daniel froze. The bills were nearly double what he expected. It turned out the machines he'd taken over were an old model. They used far more water and energy than the newer generation of machines. The broker had never mentioned this, or, as far as we are concerned, the real question is why he didn't. Was it only up until the contract was signed and the sale went through? Shouldn't everything in business be transparent, within basic ethical and moral rules? The third month, things nobody had accounted for started going wrong, and this was only the beginning. 6 dryers broke down one after another. While Daniel waited for a repairman, those machines sat empty for days, and a machine sitting empty means, simply, it's bringing in zero money. Even working with missing equipment for a single day was enough to crush morale. Daniel hadn't realized it, but just one machine losing a single turn a day was already worth thousands of dollars a month. In the 4th month, a customer broke the lock on the coin and cash compartment of a machine and stole the cash inside. Daniel reported it to the police as fast as he could and installed a new security camera system, one more expense that was never in the budget. From that day on, he started showing up almost every day instead of twice a week. That zero-staff promise had quietly turned into a part-time second job. The fear of what's going to break next never really went away. At the end of the year, when Daniel sat down and worked out the real numbers, instead of the $100,000 to $175,000 net profit the broker had promised, he found himself with something closer to $38,000 to $48,000. The business hadn't failed. The broker was right about that. But the profit Daniel had expected never came either, and the business he'd bought because it was passive had turned into a part-time job eating most of his week. So the lesson isn't just that we skip due diligence. Going into a business without research also hits us psychologically, and on top of it being a hard situation, it guarantees loss as a side effect. Advertising is great, but only when it's placed right, and backed by accurate, effective information. Of course, The most important part of all this is setting everything else aside and focusing on the real numbers. Industry data shows this. The average laundromat really does bring in about $504,000 a year, and the net margin really can fall in the 20 to 35% range. So the broker isn't lying. It's either a lack of information, or simply not disclosing how fragile that margin actually is. The line item that actually eats the margin: water, sewer, gas, and electric, plus unexpected dryer breakdowns, security cameras, or other problems that show up at the worst time. These expenses run 20% to 30% of gross revenue, and in stores with older machines, that ratio climbs even higher. In industry surveys, almost half of laundromat owners say high energy bills are their single biggest problem. Machine utilization rate matters far more than people think, too. In a 50-machine store, losing just one turn a day on a single machine, whether it's broken or sitting empty, works out to roughly $5,400 a month in lost revenue. That's exactly what happened to Daniel. On top of that, there's rent. Rent shouldn't exceed 25% of revenue. If it does, the margin erodes fast. If you're staffing the location, that's another 15 to 25% of revenue in added cost, which is why that zero staff promise usually doesn't last long, since machine breakdowns, security, and cleaning all require someone to be there. Total monthly overhead can run $10,000 to $25,000, and that's a figure that excludes loan payments and unexpected repairs. Let's make this concrete. In a store doing $500,000 in annual revenue, once you stack a 30% energy cost, 20% rent, and 15% staff insurance overhead on top of each other, the real net profit you're left with isn't the broker's promised $100,000 to $175,000. It lands in the $50,000 to $90,000 range. Still not a bad number, but nearly half of what was promised. And that gap is exactly the part nobody tells you outright. Why does this gap exist? So why doesn't the broker tell you any of this? Because these are the line items he doesn't factor in, or downplays. Energy and water costs. Older machines use far more water and electricity than the newer generation. The age of the machines you're taking over directly determines your margin. Machine downtime. Every broken machine means zero revenue until it's fixed. A dryer down for a week can mean hundreds of dollars in losses that week alone. Rent ratio risk. If rent exceeds 25% of revenue, your profit margin erodes fast, especially in competitive areas where rents keep climbing. Staffing needs and security. That zero staff promise usually breaks down within the first few months. Vandalism, coin theft, and cleaning needs all require someone to be on site. Just like Daniel having to install a camera system, security investment is another line item that's never in the budget from the start: insurance and legal setup. Comprehensive insurance runs $2,500 to $7,500 a year, and legal counsel for setting up the business entity and reviewing contracts adds another $1,000 to $5,000. Pressure to upgrade equipment. As competing laundromats move to card reader and app payment machines, sticking with the old system costs you customers, and the upgrade investment comes right back out of your pocket. That's exactly what happened to Daniel. No single one of these sank the business, but stacked together, they ate 2/3 of the profit he expected. How do you do the right due diligence? I don't want you to watch this video and think laundromats are a bad investment. Quite the opposite. Done right, it's a genuinely resilient business. What I want is for you to not skip the steps Daniel skipped. Here's the checklist. Ask about the machine's age and energy efficiency. If any machines are older than 5 years, budget for that as its own expense line. It means both repair risk and higher bills. Request the real utility bills from the last 12 months. Water, electric, gas, actual bills, not estimates. Have the broker show you the monthly fluctuation, not just the average. Review the lease against revenue. If rent exceeds 25% of revenue, reconsider the deal or make it a negotiating point. Read the lease term and renewal conditions carefully too. Ask about the machine repair history. A location with frequent breakdowns means far more downtime than you'd expect. Ask for the last year's service records. Question that zero staff promise. Look into the area's security and vandalism history, and figure out whether it can genuinely run without staff. Even local police records can tell you something here. Set aside a budget for equipment upgrades. Budget upfront for investments needed to stay competitive, like switching to card app payment systems. Delaying it saves money short term but costs you customers long term. Consider a loyalty program. Discounts for repeat customers might bring in a few extra along with them. That's really where the truth comes out in full. Laundromats don't fail, that's true. But there's a huge gap between not failing and making the money you expected, and brokers never show you that gap. That's exactly what this channel is about. What numbers a place or business idea that looks great from the outside actually needs to be tested against. In the next video, we are continuing from a different angle. Right now, millions of people across America are rushing to buy an existing business instead of starting one from scratch. But those who go into that race without doing their due diligence end up facing the same fate. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video for more deep dive videos coming your way.